I'm Bishop Jeff Haines, the Auxiliary Bishop of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, and welcome to our Sunday reflection. Traditionally, this time of year has been a time when the youth of many Catholic parishes go on mission trips, times when they're able to try out what serving the poor and the needy, what that experience is all about. And I've been on a number of those trips, and they're very enriching, not only for the young people, but also for those of us more elderly folks who are their supervisors. The story I want to tell today is about a mission trip we took to a program called Young Neighbors in Action, and this one was being held in the city of Chicago. We had a large amount of youth from the Catholic parishes of West Bend and Newburgh and Kewaskum, and we had so many youth that we were divided into different sites where we went to do our service. For example, we had one group of our youth that worked at a senior home, and so they worked with senior citizens, the elderly. We had another group that was working in a Bible school, a vacation Bible school with young kids. And then there was a group that went to spend time with people who had special needs, and so they were working with them, and there were a few other groups as well. My group was assigned to a Catholic worker house in the very center of Chicago, a very challenging neighborhood. And most people associate the Catholic worker houses with Dorothy Day, of course, and the soup kitchens that she used to run. The soup kitchen was shut down that week, and so we pretty much experienced the worker part of the Catholic worker house. We were really involved in a lot of cleaning and fixing things up. We painted rooms in a hallway. We worked on the floors. We mopped them. We waxed them. We were working out in the yard, doing yard work out there. We were also, there was a big garage just filled with all sorts of stuff, and so we had to get rid of a lot of that stuff and clean up that garage. We had also a situation where they had a big storage room where people had donated furniture. Unfortunately, there were leaks in that storage place, and so we had to drag out chairs and sofas that had developed mold and things like that, and we also did almost a restocking of a food pantry as well. And it was about 80 or 90 degrees that week, so the young people really were taxed. It was really a grind, and so what was really challenging for them was when they would get back to the place where we were residing for the evening, and they would do a sharing period. And all the other youth, when they were sharing their stories, were just filled with enthusiasm and just feeling so wonderful about their experience. You know, those who were working with the elderly were saying, oh, it's like being with your grandparents, and they tell stories and they give us treats. And then the group that was with the Bible school talked about singing songs and playing games and talking about the Bible with the young kids who were so excited about learning about Jesus. And then the group that was with the special needs people talked about the great friendships they were developing and how effusive and how accepting people with special needs are, and the special relationships that they were forming there. And my group, with that kind of grinded out cleaning and repair work, they really didn't want to say anything. In fact, near the end of the week, a lot of the young people from the other places were talking about it being the best mission trip they've ever been on. And unfortunately, the young folks that I was with, they said, this has been an awful week, and I wish I wouldn't have come. And so then we called a meeting, and my co-leader and I, we sat down with our youngsters, and I said, first of all, I want to thank you for how hard you worked this year. You went way above the call of duty, and you really worked very, very hard in very difficult conditions. And I said, what makes it very hard is that the type of service work that you were doing, you don't see the results and you get very little affirmation, and that makes it very, very difficult. But I said, you really are going to have an impact. I talked to the people who run this Catholic worker house, and they wanted me to convey to you their profound gratitude. Because of what you did this week, they didn't have to do that. And they were able to devote an entire week to the planning of their programming for next year. And you gave them the space and the time, because of your service, to plan a whole new program, which is not just going to have an impact on a few people, but they said literally hundreds and hundreds of people. So the type of service you did is hard. You don't see the results. but ultimately God will, and God will be grateful. This Sunday is the 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time, and the Gospel comes from the 10th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. It's really a presentation of Jesus to his disciples. He's getting ready to send them on mission, so he's giving them instructions, and I might say precautions as well. And since he's speaking to them, ultimately in the scriptures, he's speaking to us too, and he's talking about the kind of service really that those young people did when they were on that mission trip in Chicago. And he's cautioning us. He's saying all service is not easy. In fact, he says it's like picking up your own cross. And he said ultimately, real service is a matter of losing your life, not finding it. And if you want to know what that means, basically that means that there are two kinds of people in life. There are takers and there are givers. Takers look to fulfill themselves. Givers give themselves away in order to bless somebody else. That's the kind of ministry Jesus was talking about to his disciples. That's the kind of ministry that that group of young people was doing. And so it's a reminder to us as we look at our lives and the call to service that Jesus extends to us as well. And he's saying to us that ultimately service is really to do the righteous thing. In the scriptures it says the righteous person is one who is in right relationship with God and does not what he or she wants, but does the right thing, what people truly need. And ultimately the reward will come from God. Because as I said, we may not see the results of our service, but God always does, and he will bless us. Thank you for joining us today. Please join us next week for another Sunday in reflection. And in the meantime, be safe, stay healthy, and God bless you.